thank you for having us.
No worries.
Are you aware of the traffic at the enforcement in this week?
I certainly am, and it's been raised with me a few times. I'm trying to think back, a couple of years ago we talked to the Wellington City Council about whether or not they could put some kind of crossing in there. That was especially for the people who were going up to Alpha, I remember at the time. So that's something we need to ask the Wellington City Council again about. If you're in a car, you'll know that people get really confused about who's meant to go when. So those sorts of issues to do with traffic are the Wellington City Council's job.
And a member of our group giving the opposition to the crossing installed at its location to Wellington City Council in 2015 and 2016. The council agreed to install the crossing. Is now 2020. So you're the finance minister. And then the implementing the 2008 where's our crossing?
Well, that is a really good question, and like I said, I remember working with people in 2015 and 2016, and I thought the Wellington City Council had done it. So, yep, I think you're right to ask the question, where's our crossing? And we need to get the Wellington City Council to do what they said they were going to do. Should we ring Andy Foster, the Mayor? Why don't we do that later on?
Yeah.
You deserve an answer from the Mayor given what happened 4 years ago. It really isn't on that 4 years later that hasn't been followed through on.
You will see is done by 2021.
I absolutely will, and I think it's been a really important thing for you to remind me as somebody who lives in this community that that hasn't happened yet. I definitely will work with you.
The council has failed to deliver on their promise. So why should we trust you?
Good question. Hopefully I'm pretty good at delivering on my promises. One of the things that's happened with the council is they had the council election last year, and the person who was the mayor at the time, Justin Lester, he lost to Andy Foster. So maybe this would be something that Andy might not know that much about, but we can definitely ask him about it. But you can trust me, I've always been a good friend of the community around here, and I'll do my best to help you.
When someone new comes into power, do they have an obligation to fulfil some of the stuff in the previous?
Yep, and if the council had agreed to it, and it would be dealt with by the traffic, section of the council, and so presumably they're much the same people who were there before the mayoralty changed. But sometimes you just need to go to the top to get what you need, and I'm very happy to talk to them here.
Hi, my name is Adrian Gordon. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Adrian.
I may need a bit of help, Lincoln.
That's okay. Your first question was about the referendum, wasn't it?
The referendum.
We've got two this election. We've got one on cannabis and one on the end of life choice bill.
What do you think of the marijuana? Do you think that should stay, or do you think that should go?
I think it should be changed. So I agree with the referendum question that we should have a legalisation of marijuana or decriminalisation of it. So at the moment, the problem we've got is because there isn't an ability for people to use marijuana safely. Often people get involved in the supply of it who are gangs and people that we wouldn't want involved. And so given that people are going to use marijuana, I would rather have an environment where it's controlled and it's regulated and we can get health and safety messages out. While it's illegal, people aren't going to respond to those things. So yeah, I'm going to be voting for the referendum. What do you reckon, Adrian?
Yeah, good.
Good.
We've been fighting for equal employment opportunities for people with disability in the workforce. It's even harder now because of COVID-19. What's the Labor Party doing to ensure people with disabilities, especially intellectual disabilities, get a fair go?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. So one of the things we've been doing is making sure that firstly people get paid properly for the work they do, so to make sure that it isn't being done in a way that undermines you. If you're going to work, you should be paid the rate that other people are paid for doing that work. So that's the first thing that we're doing. The second one though is really encouraging employers to take on people who have disabilities. and that means providing some subsidies and supports to those employers.
Yeah.
But another part of that is the government itself taking the leadership role.
Yeah.
And so actually we've just been criticising the Wellington City Council, but actually one of the things that they've been doing is taking on people with disabilities. And some of the businesses like Z Energy have been really good at it too. So we can show our leadership ourselves and also support employers through the programs that we already have.
What do you think of your social co-workers for COVID-19?
Well, I mean, the thing that I realised, and I think lots of New Zealanders did during level 4, was just how important the people who we call essential workers are. So people who work in supermarkets, people who work in our hospitals, people who care for other people. And I think we recognise that those people are really important to us and we should value them properly. So, for example, making sure people who work there get paid a decent wage. And so when the government controls that, we make sure we're trying to pay a living wage. And we really encourage the other employers to do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you know about people who work in those roles, don't you?
What about like tunnels and stuff around
This is Mount Victoria.
Mount Victoria.
So that's the plan. For us, it's just a matter of how quickly we do it, because there's other things that need to be done in Wellington to improve the public transport too.
Yeah.
So, yep, I definitely support there being a second tunnel, but it just depends when we do that compared to some of the other changes, like getting buses to move more quickly around the city and so on. But yeah, it's definitely on our agenda, but there's a few things to do first.
Excellent.
Sweet.
Tessa, did you have any last questions?
Are you single?
Am I single? Sorry.
That's all right. Good question, Tessa.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.